Hey, how's it going, everybody? Once again, this is Jason with Art of Creation Homestead. We're coming at you again with more Peach Week videos. Alright, we're doing some peach butter today. Peach butter. I love me some peach butter. It is one of my favorite things to do with fresh peaches. But again, it's not my doing. It's the lovely camera lady who is holding knives and spatulas today. So be careful, she's dangerous with them. Let's see what we got going on over here.
Okay, this is the last hurrah. This is what you want to do with the last peaches, the ones that are maybe a little overripe, a little too ripe for you to think is perfect to enjoy out of hand. These are, like I said, a little overripe. See, they're a little more squishy. You want that for peach butter because peach butter is concentrated peach flavor. So the more these are broke down, the riper these are, the juicier the flesh is, the more the flesh is broke down, and the more the sugars have developed. So you're going to need less sugar for this than you do for peach jam or peach preserves. A lot less sugar goes in this. So if you're diabetic, this may be your choice. And all this is going to be, there's going to be no spices, no anything. It's just going to be concentrated peach flavor. So you want to use the last of the last for this. So I've got all these peaches chopped up. This was 22 peaches, the last that we had. This was about 5.5 pounds, thereabout. So now I'm going to show you my little trick for cutting up these beautiful peaches. Okay, see, there's the end where the stem is at. Put it in your hand. Now don't use your very sharpest knife for this because you may cut yourself. Be very careful. Stick it in right there and turn it.
Around the pit.
Around the pit. Your knife will fill the pit. Now you've got 2 halves. Now turn it again and put it in so you make 4. So you make quarters. Turn it around again. Now you've got 4. See, you got 4 pieces. Now, between these two diagonal segments,
split the halves in half.
You split the halves in half. And you do the same thing this way. You turn it, do the same thing this way. Split the half in half. Now you've got 8 slices. See, you've got 8 slices. Now, you put it back in your hand with the stem side in your hand. You go this way. You go horizontally and go around the peach. And as you can see, they're already falling off. This will only work with freestone peaches. And then you can just take and apply gentle pressure and all the pieces will just fall off. And it will already be chopped for you. And no chopping.
Just thinking brilliant.
Now let's show you again.
Now be careful, these things are slippery. So just make sure you don't cut yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's the stem end. Put it in your hand. Go around.
But as long as you're guiding it around the pit, you should be fine, right?
Yes, because the knife is staying away from your fingers. Turn it. Go into fourths.
So basically just cutting it in half, cutting it in half, cutting it in half, cutting it in half.
Cut everything in half, cut everything in half, cut everything in half. It's just a weird little Angela tip. Flat on your hand, go horizontal and around. Around the pit again. Now push them all off.
That's crazy.
And they're all completely chopped for you. You don't have to worry about it. And don't throw the pits in.
That would be pits.
Oh. I'm the one who's supposed to be telling the corny jokes.
Okay.
I'm the queen of corny jokes.
Alright.
Now wipe all of this peach juice off my hands.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is this big old pot of deliciousness.
Okay, now to this, we are going to add about 3/4 of a cup of water. Not much. This is just to keep them from burning.
On the bottom.
On the bottom. It's to keep it from scorching on the bottom so that it can cook without scorching because all of these sugars. Because the sugars is so concentrated in this. Now this is an enamel cast iron Dutch oven. You can use any pot you would like. But to me, this works best for butters. For peach butter, apple butter, any kind of fruit butters you're going to make. Because it heats consistently and evenly. And it will hold its heat evenly throughout the whole pot. So it's going to cook down faster. Because I'm not going to lie, this is not going to be, oh, this cooks in 5 minutes. No, this has to cook down and thicken. And this is going to take maybe an hour or two to cook down. But it's worth every minute of it.
Cooking on what temp on the stove?
Well, you bring it to a boil. I'm going to take it over there, put it on the stove, bring it to a boil at about medium-high heat until it starts cooking really good and you start seeing these peaches start to wilt down, get all crushed up and everything. You will start to see them start to cook really good. And at that point, you want to turn the heat down to about medium to medium low, depending on how your stove heats. You want it a low, gentle bubble. This has been cooking down for 20 minutes, and as you can see, the peaches have broke down significantly. And as you can see, there's not a whole lot of fiber there. That's why you want overripes, because the fiber has started to break down. You'll know this is ready for this step. When you see those chunks of peaches, you can take the back of your spoon and push on them, and it doesn't take very much pressure at all just to break them in pieces. Now, at this point, what you want to do is you want to puree this. There's several ways you can do it. You can do it with a food mill. You can do it in a blender, in a food processor. What I'm using is an immersion blender. Or if you don't have any of that equipment, you can just use a potato masher. Any of that will work. Now we're going to put the immersion blender in here and puree this until it's completely smooth. Now I'm going to spare you the noise, because this thing sounds like you are changing a tire in your kitchen. So you do not want to hear that on camera. This took about a minute or so of me just pulsing through it, and it's splattering everywhere. And now you have this beautiful consistency.
Like applesauce type deal.
Pretty much like applesauce. Now, you want to take this to the stove, and this is where you start cooking it down. You want to cook this down just till you start seeing it's starting to thicken just a little bit, and then we will add our sugar. And as I've told you, you add very little sugar. A lot of times I can't give you a full measurement on how much sugar, because it depends on how sweet your peaches are. And these are extremely sweet, so this isn't going to take a whole lot of sugar. It's just going to be pure peach.
Yeah, you don't want to overpower it with sugar. You want to concentrate peach flavor, right?
Yes. It's been about a half an hour, and as you can see, it's cooked down significantly. It almost looks like it's ready, but it's not. Now you are going to add the sugar. At this point, you are going to be doing a lot of tasting. So I hope you don't mind that. I have a cup of sugar measured out here. I cannot guarantee you that we are going to use a full cup of sugar. We may use half a cup. We may use a cup and a fourth. You have to taste it and measure by your liking, how sweetness you want, how sweet you want it, if I can spit it out. And also, you've got to remember, this has got to cook down again after you add the sugar, because this thickness, you're going to lose that when you add the sugar, because when it melts, you're essentially adding a liquid product. So it's going to get more liquidy, and I'm going to add in about a half cup. It's going to get more liquidy, as you can see. Splatter, splatter. See it? You can watch it as the sugar is melting and dissolving. It's getting more liquidy. So it's got to cook down again after this. And as it's cooking down, that sweetness is going to concentrate. So it's going to keep getting sweeter and sweeter. So you've got to keep that in mind. And at this point, You want to taste it. So we're going to add just a little bit more. Add about half of the rest of that, so that makes 3/4 of a cup. So for 22 peaches, for 5.5 pounds of peaches, I only added 3/4 of a cup of sugar. I think that's pretty darn good. Now see, as you can tell, the consistency has went back a little more liquid. So now you're going to want that to cook down again to a nice spreadable consistency. So that could take, in the cast iron Dutch oven, because it holds heat so well and heats so evenly, that'll probably take another half hour, 45 minutes. In a different style of pot that don't heat as evenly, it could take another hour or longer. But this will significantly reduce your time. At this point, you are going to want to stir this frequently, because if you don't, it is going to burn and scorch on the bottom from all the sugars from the peaches. So you want to make sure you stir it frequently, and be careful, because those splatters can be killers. It's been about 25 minutes, and as you can see, it is thickened significantly. This is pretty much where you want it. I'll show you some tricks on how to tell how it's ready. This is something my mom taught me when I was just a little girl and I was making apple butter with her. She said what you want to do is stir in a figure 8. And see, when you stir on the top with a figure 8, see, it leaves the 8. See, you can see the 8. That shows you it's ready. Also, another trick, take a spoon, dip some up into the spoon, and see how it stands up on the spoon instead of running? That shows you it's ready to be jarred up. Now, this that's on the spoon, the lovely cameraman is going to taste it.
Yeah, it's ready. Good stuff.
Okay, so now we're going to jar it up. And once again, we have our little drip station, like my mama always told me. So now we're going to start using our mug to ladle it up. We'll pour it in the jar. You want to leave about 1/4 of an inch headspace with this. You can leave a half, but you're actually better off closer to 1/4 with a fruit butter like this. Now, remember to use your debubbling tool. Go around the edges to get all the bubbles out. See all those bubbles that rose to the top? Now you gotta pop all those bubbles. See? There you go. Now, what does that look like to you? Does that look like it's the right headspace?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. So let's clean off the rim of the jar. You don't want any food debris on here. If you do, you probably won't get a good seal. Now you want to take a flat that's been in hot water, nice and hot, and set it on the rim of the jar as evenly as you possibly can. Now we're going to go get a ring. These have been sterilized in the dishwasher, washed in the dishwasher, and sterilized on the heated dry cycle. And then you want to screw your lid on, if I can get it on there. Now just finger tight. Don't wrench it down, just finger tight. And we will take our lovely jar grabbers and we will put it in the Ball electric water bath canner, or in your regular water bath canner on the stove. Lower it down into the water. Make sure that there's at least 1 inch or 2 of water over the top of the lid. We've got the jars in here. We put the Ball electric water bath canner has a plate that you put on top that holds the jar steady in the canner so they don't juggle around as the boil happens. So you want to put the lid on and you want to bring it back up to a boil. When it's at a good boil and you're seeing a lot of bubbles coming to the top, you want to process for 10 minutes. Then you want to turn off your heat, let it sit with the lid off for about 5 minutes so that the boil calms down and so that it has time to rest. It's been 10 minutes in the processing, and then I turned it off, which down here you can see on the Ball electric water bath canner it says canning right here, and that's the setting you want it on for canning. And I've just turned it off and left it for 5 minutes with the lid off and it off so that it can calm down. Now we're taking the jars out, and as I've told you in previous videos, you want to lift them straight up. Just tilt them a tiny bit just to knock some of the water off. And you want to lift them straight over and set them on a place where they are going to be sitting for 12 to 24 hours, but I prefer 18 to 24. Now, you want to take paper towel, as I've showed you in the past, and just dab the water off. Just barely dab it, because you don't want to accidentally push down that popper and give it a false seal. You want it to have a real seal. You don't want to cause it to seal. You want it to seal on its own, because then you know the seal is airtight. And that's what you want, is an airtight seal, so that you don't end up with botulism.
Alrighty, so now that's what we got here. We wound up only getting 2 jars, and about half. We have a half jar. That half jar we just put into the fridge, and we use it when we feel like it. And so obviously, if you want to do more than 2 jars, you're going to want maybe 10 pounds of peaches, you know, to do double that. So, boy, the flavor is very concentrated. You don't use a bunch of it at one time, so it's absolutely delicious, and we love it. It's well worth it to use. Basically, our leftover peaches, the peaches we didn't use for ice cream, for sorbet, for salsa, barbecue sauce, anything else we do, jam, lemonade. Yeah, we're going to do some peach lemonade, and fresh eating. I mean, goodness. So we've got a ton of uses in there. That's what we did with what was left over, and it's delicious. Again, if you want to keep seeing these peach videos, we got a couple more coming at you. So give us a thumbs up on YouTube on this video, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications so that you'll know when we put up another video, and just keep enjoying them peaches. This is Jason with Art of Creation Homestead. God bless you. Goodbye.